Okay. Hi, Gary. Hey, fam. This is Elle. It is February 4th, year of our Lord, 2019. Now, here is Gari. She is going to share with us a little bit about herself and then is going to tell us where she's from. And we're going to ask her some questions that some of you viewers have sent in and some that I've come up with myself on what is going on in Venezuela. So go ahead, take it away, Gary.
Hi, my name is Gari. I am from San Cristobal, Venezuela. San Cristobal is a city that is an hour away from the border with Colombia, just to give people a little bit of an insight of where my city is located. And I am 20 years old. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And um, so that's great. What is your schooling like?
Well, I think it's really important for people to really, understand how our education system works right now and how it, you know, has changed over the last few years. So I'm going to tell a story about my senior year of high school that I think illustrates perfectly what we go through and what people continue to go through and who go to school in Venezuela. Senior year, it's a moment in your life, a coming of age. We all have, these dreams, these hopes, and this idea of who you want to become. There's a lot of excitement. I remember, my class and myself, we were all very excited about the plans that you make. What are you going to study? What are you going to do? And I think it is like that all over the world. It's just a very important time in a person's life. And then like for us, you come across these things that are completely out of your control, because it's the crisis that the country is going through, and that are things that affect your future and your plans, directly. So I remember, senior year, we had six different literature teachers because they just kept quitting. They kept quitting because what they were paying them wasn't enough, even though I went to a private school and it wasn't enough. And they had to provide for their families, so they just kept quitting. They couldn't stay on the job, and it was really, really hard for us because you would come to class on a Monday with a homework and a paper that you have worked so hard in all over over the weekend, and you would come to class and be like, "Oh, so the teacher quit. There's no class today. We're gonna try to find a replacement as soon as we can." So that was, crazy for most of the year. Then we would have, I remember my chemistry teacher was one of the most respected teachers of the state. And we were lucky enough to be taught by him. And I think by the middle of the second semester of senior year, he quit and he started a business selling milk because it was a product, a first, need and necessity product that was so, so hard to find and to buy in the country that it was so much profitable for him to focus on that than actually be a teacher. And I to me it's such a respected position. So
Yes.
and to go from that, not that selling milk wasn't a dignified job at all, but I mean it's just not what he went to school for and what his calling was. And that
Right.
was a really sad day when he sat us down as a class and he told us, I cannot teach you anymore. I cannot even hold on till you guys graduate. I have to quit right now and I have to give this a try because I have a baby and I have a wife that I have to provide for. So, we all cried. He left and we got a new teacher. And it's really hard, to try to accommodate because every teacher has a different method of teaching.
Yes.
And you have the stress of everything else going on in school, and then you have to adapt to all these teachers who are constantly changing. So it was crazy for the most part. It was really, really hard to make plans to go to school elsewhere, in other countries because of the devaluation of the currency. It became so much more expensive for anybody in the country to actually, make plans to go to school elsewhere. And unfortunately, because of the years that we are behind society as a third world country, and because of the crisis that goes on, there aren't a lot of options in terms of education of what you want to go to school for. There's only a very specific, courses and careers that you can actually major in, which was actually very frustrating. For example, because I am a student, I really like art, and I've always been into art. And I remember, there are no art programs in the country or anything that you could really, search for your calling or your passion. So, that continues to be a frustration today, I think, And also, you know, being our age, and I think we come from a generation where we were taught since we were little, the sky is the limit, everything is possible, you know, everything is possible if you just believe, if you believe in yourself. And yes, we do believe in ourselves, we have plans like everybody else, but these are things that are completely out of our control and that are happening to us, you know. um when you wake up every morning, and not just out of the top of my head, the insecurity that the country has, and you wake up in the morning and you know that your parents have to go to work and you have to go to school and everybody, you know, has to go do their thing, but you don't know if they're going to come back at night because how insecure it is, you know, out there. Other
Now,
than that,
now, Gadi, what is your you just mentioned that. Could you maybe elaborate, be a little bit more specific? Like when you leave the house, or your family, your loved ones leave the house, what is the most dangerous, or the typical things that you worry about
yeah.
when you kiss your family goodbye for the day? What are the things that could happen there?
So one of the most, I think, common crimes in a day by day is just robberies happening at any time of day, any corner. You can be sitting at a bakery, having a coffee, you know, eating a cookie, and they will, like, robbers will come and rob everybody who is in the bakery, including, you know, the cashier and everybody who's there. You can be in your car driving to work, and a motorcycle with a robber will come and knock on your window, give me your phone, give me your wallet, give me your handbag. So
Yeah.
you are really not safe anywhere, you know. So and yes, some people do resist these things because, you know, it's a situation where you are under pressure and you're scared, and some people just react in a way where they won't give the roar what they're asking for, and
Right.
people do get murdered because of this day by day. Actually, every 20 minutes somebody dies of a violent crime in Venezuela, and this is a fact. Because I was
Right.
mentioned to you, there's this great, as I told you that I'm really into arts. There's this great documentary that they just made this June about the situation in Venezuela. It's by Gustavo Tobar. I will give you the link later if you want to send it to your followers. But yeah, it
Absolutely.
tells the story really early on in the 90s with Chavez and how all that started, and it goes through what's going on today. It's an hour and a half, but it's explained, I think, brilliantly. It's nominated to various awards. They're translating it to many, many languages, which I think it's amazing. But yeah, that does explain a lot, I think, what's behind what's going on today. Because I have, you know, read what has been published in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and these mainstream outlets in the United States. And I see what they're writing, and I think as a person who doesn't know the backstory, it's really hard to give an opinion or to even pick a side based on what you're reading. There's so much more to it. And I think, you know, unfortunately in Venezuela, a lot of the press, if not all of it, it's censored. So we don't have that freedom of speech. We don't have
Yes.
that
Um,
opportunity to know what's going on even within our country. So I think, you know, people who do have the opportunity and the resources to tap into that information should get informed, because the information is out there. It is. You just have to look for it.
yes. Um, Definitely not to compare, but we do have that here as well. Like you're aware, the mainstream media, they only tell us what they want us to know. Now I know you're young, but you brought up Chavez.
Yes, of course.
I've actually read the Constitution,
Wow.
and I mentioned to Nicholas as well, and he said the Constitution is good as it is, but you know that Maduro is not honoring it,
No.
and that it is a dictatorship, and it's true. Now, something you said before, just to rewind, and I'm sorry, excuse my ignorance for this. Now, as far as the burglaries and robberies and such, are people allowed to
Press charge.
carry weapons to protect
Oh,
themselves?
no. As long as I know, it is not allowed. As long as I know, we have a ban against that. So no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, here we do have the Second Amendment. They're trying to take that away.
I am very
We do have
aware.
it. So a lot of people here, independent journalists as well as mainstream are, downing Trump and Mike Pompeo, who's our Secretary of State, for trying to get Juan Guaido in.
Yes.
What are your feelings on No, I know you want Maduro replaced.
No, and I know my answer to this, and I do understand where this question is coming from. I've been asked this question for the past weeks as many times as I can count from, like I told you, friends from all over the world. And I know that the main concern of the American people who maybe, are reading about what's going on or don't really support Trump is that they have interest in our natural resources like our oil and our gas. And I have an answer for this that I think, it's just my opinion based on what I know. I don't agree with a lot of the things that President Trump believes in and does for the country. I understand, the rage of many people based on what he does and what he says. I understand that. But this is way more bigger than any interest in the United States can have in Venezuela, and this is why. We needed the support of the international community, regardless of whether it was, South American countries, the United States, Canada, Mexico. We needed the support of the international community because what we have been doing, the work that we have been doing as a country, the people, the politicians on the other side, people who are fighting for our own freedom, can go only so far.
Right.
There's a stop for what we have done, and we have done everything, believe me, and on that list of the things that were in our power to do many, many times. But the international community was key for this. And the reason why, I can be completely honest with you, when Guaido was proclaimed interim president, and I know that I have read all over that he self-proclaimed, which is not true. It is in our constitution, it is written that if for any reason the president were to be illegitimate or the election were to be illegitimate, the president of Congress, which is Juan Guaido, would be interim president until new elections, democratic and free elections can be called upon. So he's going to be there temporarily. So when he was proclaimed president and he called onto the international community to back him up and recognize him, I was one of the people who said the United States will never recognize him. I don't see this happening. I know this is what we all want. It's not going to happen. Within 26 minutes of that, I read a tweet from the White House saying that Trump, it's recognizing him. And the reason why that is so big for us, regardless of what the interests of the United States are, it's because of the influence and the power this country has. And it was as written in stone right after the United States recognized him, 26 countries followed. And that is way bigger than anything else we could have hoped for. So yes, it's a great asset to have the U.S. on our side, absolutely. But we gained most of the South American countries. We gained Canada. We gained, the European Union to say something about what was going on. We got the world to listen. And we have been asking for people to listen for way too long. Yes. So that is why it is so major for us, and why I do agree, and this is beyond wanting Maduro gone. There's so many reasons. I can sit here all day and talk to you about why I want Maduro gone and why he has done us so wrong. But the reason is we have fought for our freedom. We have tried to do this on our own, and the reality of this is that we can't. We need the international community. And another reason why this was so positive, Colombia, as I said, I grew up in the border. I grew up an hour away from the border. I am extremely grateful for the Colombian people and for the Colombian government for what they have done for us in this time of need. They have done so much for us in the border, giving health assistance and to the migrants, because the people who are fleeing the country flee through that border. They don't necessarily stay in Colombia. Some people, keep on going to other South American countries, but they do go through Colombia. So they're having, around, I think, 500,000 or something like that in a period of time passing through their country, and it has affected them as well. And they have never shut the door on us, On contrary, they have opened it up and helped us with that. And thanks to the U.S. being on our side, they are now working together to get that humanitarian aid that we do need so desperately.
Absolutely. And
the fact that they are working together is so big for us.
To get back to that, but you're touching on so many important things here. I have a lot of people asking, and there's a lot of rumors here. And please set us straight, because you're there. Have there been rumors here? Are you concerned with an invasion as far as Colombia and Brazil?
Am I concerned? Absolutely. Not because I am not for it, but because I understand the, I guess, severity of what can happen because of, it would be an invasion. And I guess, we are all here and there could be collateral damage to many different things. I don't know how that,
And
operation would play out.
what do you think the purpose of them invading would be?
I guess to forcefully remove him, I would say, because
Uh,
at this point, with every other thing that they have done for him to, dignifiedly and peacefully turn himself in, understand that his time has come, that he has to give up power, and I think they are using all other options possible for him to turn himself in a peaceful way, without losing any more innocent lives, without having any other thing go wrong. And I see him constantly trying to grab onto that power with everything that he's got. So I would say if the invasion were to happen, it would be the last resource. And it would be for that reason, to forcibly remove him, because there is no other way out. But I am still hopeful that, some other solution would come up, thanks to all the progress that we have made with the international community.
Of course, of course. Yeah, and I know that you mentioned the 26 countries, and then just last week, Pompeo and 15 other diplomats came out and said they definitely are in favor of Juan Guaido. And I mean, what are your personal feelings on this? Do you think that this will happen with little or no bloodshed? How do you
Wow.
think that this will turn out?
I would love it to be without any bloodshed, just because I've seen so much already, going back to the protests of 2014, which I think, of what I've seen with my own eyes, were the hardest ones. And I've seen so many innocent people die for this, and young people who are supposed to be the future of our country. I think the youngest of the deceased was 17 or something like that. And my dad is a doctor. My mom is a doctor as well. And my dad used to go and help out, the injured from the protests. And I would get so, so scared. Please, Dad, don't go, because I know that Maduro had said that anybody who assisted this would be a traitor of this country, and so, and would be punished for that. So I was scared for my dad's life, yes. And he would turn to me and say, they are your age. These kids could be you. And these kids are fighting for a better future for all of us. So how can I sit here and not heal them when they are out there risking their lives for us? So would I want this to end without any bloodshed? Absolutely. Do I think it's possible? No. Just because of what I've seen and because of what I've lived through,
from Maduro, and
he's
not
absolutely, because
he's not willing to give it up. He doesn't want to leave.
No, he doesn't want to leave. And the thing is, we go out, the people go out with posters, with flags, with T-shirts. That's why we have to arm ourselves. The government has the weapons. So if anybody here is being violent, if anybody here is throwing the first punch in a way, it's them. How can you fight a gun with a poster?
Good point.
There's no way. It's just no way.
Well, now, I'm sure you heard back on December 10th or December 11th that Russia had sent you familiar with the story? They sent the 2 jets over with nuclear. I don't know if they were carrying them or not, but they were equipped the jets were for carrying nuclear weapons. I know that they have left now. But as far as Russia and China, if you want to separate them, however you want to discuss it, give us your insight to how they are playing a role, especially with Putin backing Maduro. How do you feel about this, and what do you know about this?
Like I said, and this it's a very I wouldn't say difficult topic to mention, but it's dangerous to mention, I would say.
Right, of course, your safety first.
Yeah. But like I said, I grew up an hour away from the border, which is a key location, I would say, for a lot of different reasons. And my opinion on Russia and China is that there are a lot of different interests that they have on Venezuela. With that being said, I think there is, a behind the scenes more than just backing Maduro up publicly. There's a lot of behind the scenes, ties that they have. And like I said, a lot of conflict of interest, which would make them, want Maduro to stay in power, not just because of all the natural resources that we so are blessed with, but because of, having a location where there is no law at all, where, the government turns the other way for all sorts of illegal activities to happen on all scales.
Right.
So if you are involved in that, or if you have an interest in that in any way, why would you want that person who turns the other way to be removed, and for somebody who does enforce the law and who does want to, do the things the way that they're supposed to do, be in that place? So those are my thoughts on why they're backing Maduro up and why they so passionately have said that if the United States were to, help us out, there would be consequences, because there's just a lot of interest that they have in our country that they don't want taken away. And I've seen it on different scales, of course, and I've heard from various, even in school we would talk about these things, about how blessed we are to have all these natural resources, and how desired they are all over the world.
Well, I know Chavez, in the Constitution he wrote in '99, he said there was a few articles that I found to be, I know Hugo Chavez wasn't the best man, but the Constitution, there's a few articles in there that are good. And one of them state that the natural resources aren't to leave there. Obviously, Russia, China, whoever, they want to take. But I guess what I'm asking you is, do you feel that they would be a significant threat as far as boots on the ground where you are? Is that something that comes up, or is a thought of yours, or?
I actually haven't thought about that, because like I said, I think with the behind the scenes ties that they might have, I believe that they can only go so far as well. If they remove Maduro, I would think, they're not gonna be, it would depend on the level of the interest that they have on the country, of how much they would actually get involved to keep him in power. So I don't think, other than backing him up or maybe giving him advice, I don't see any further force from their part to really keep him in power. It would have to be something really big for them to be like, there's no way he can go out of power, because we would lose whatever it is that they have going on. I do know that it's a lot, but I don't think it would go as far as, boots on the ground, like you said. I don't really see, hopefully.
Well, obviously, I hope not, and none of my viewers hope that either. I did want to ask you, as far as the looting of businesses, and versus the looting of homes, do you have a ratio on that? Do people break in and burglarize homes as much as looting, or?
I guess it has changed over the years. But yes, I think it's more businesses than homes now.
Okay.
Just because they are an easier target, I guess. But yeah, it used to be homes as well in the past. Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
We had also, keeping on that crime subject line, there was a time, I think it was between 2010 and 2013, I would say, where kidnappings were big. That statistic has lowered, I think, within the past year, but we had a time where that was, I think, the biggest crime rate that we had, kidnappings. Whether it was express kidnappings, where it's just for a day, or longer periods of time where they would ask for larger amounts of money. But yeah, we had that be a thing really back a couple of years ago. Yeah.
That's scary. I can't imagine. Mm-hmm. Now, are you able to get mail from listen, I'm not a I'm not plugging any company here. I'm just throwing it out because everybody knows of it. Like, are you able to get like Amazon or money from other countries, mail from other countries? Are you able to
As I
receive?
know, it's really difficult, and there's a very restricted list of what you can get and send in the mail. Yeah, and that list, like I said, keeps changing. Like you can show up to DHL or UPS or something like that and try to send something, and oh no, this is not allowed anymore. This just in this morning. And yeah, and it's really a lot of the mail is also burglarized. Sorry, I don't know how to say that correctly.
You said it, burglarized, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just even the people who work in the mailing companies. So it is really hard, I would say, to order anything in because of the restrictions and also because of the danger that the package will never make it to your hands.
What?
And also,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
What about people that want to send you, if it was like a card with, money in it or something? Would that reach you? I just heard that there was some problems with the postal service, not just UPS or whatever, but the regular mail as well. Is that true?
Mail doesn't work, I would say, at all. It's really like
Wow.
send a letter and it would get, if it gets there, like a month after or something like that. But in terms of money, I really don't know. I don't really like receive any of that or have tried to, so I wouldn't
Right.
know if you're able. It doesn't seem like a possibility to me, but again, I don't know if people are able to do that.
That is
Humanitarian help that we're getting from other countries, which are donations and such, do come in through the border. So they are shipped to Colombia and then they are crossed through the border to get to us. That's what I know because I have been a part of different organizations. Like I worked with Comparte por una Vida, which is an organization that's dedicated to giving meals to children. They work through different fundraising. Sometimes it's through art, sometimes it's through performance.
I've heard of them actually. Yeah.
They raise money in different ways, and most of their donations and the things that they gather come through the border. Yeah.
Perhaps you could make a note and send me that link as well,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
just in case any people that see this
Want to donate.
worldwide. Yeah.
There's always different people who are coming up with different ideas to raise money for us and help in different ways. So absolutely, I can send you that as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you know that to be secure and a way that it gets through, then I would love to provide that link.
Yeah, there's
to
a
my
lot
viewers.
of like GoFundMe's and things that I see online, and then I like I don't really know if this money will ever make it to the cause that they're saying. I hope it is, but yeah, I try to work like the organizations that I have worked with are 100% legit, so I will make sure that you get that information.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, especially you've worked there, so we do want a legit place in case anyone wants to help. And that makes people more apt to help when we know it's actually getting there.
Familiar with the story, yes.
Let me just see what else I had to ask you. Well, I guess you already told me what you thought of Trump. So, did you have anything else more to say about Trump?
To be honest, I was really scared when he decided to run for president because of some similarities that I saw in him and Chavez. Not major, of course, but I did see a certain kind of, political resemblance in the way that he was, trying to draw people and separating them, with different ideas or being,
like how so, if you don't mind?
No, yeah. So I saw a lot of like running on his running, on specific subjects and targeting certain people, against certain people. Like, I don't know, just reading a lot about racist comments and thought and things that he made. And it reminded me a lot of, the comments that Chavez would make in his day and talking about, the separations of class and how the rich were bad and, and all these things that in my country created a very, very polarized society and have made, even family members stop talking because they were so
divided,
on opposite sides of this thing. And I started to see that in the U.S. and it it made me sad because I thought, wow, if this guy does win, what can happen to this great country? We admire the U.S. everywhere, because of many different reasons, and it made me scared to see where that was heading. once he got elected, and based on the things that I have seen, I do see a difference in the society, and I do see a difference in the air, and you know, and just
Yeah.
the U.S. that I remember. And so, yeah, that is my.
Just to let you know, yeah, divisiveness and, you know, divide and conquer, that's always been a tool, we'll say, for every ruler or president, dictator, whatever. They always want the people divided. They want us all divided. Here, and the group and the viewers that I have, we want to get rid of that. We want to all come
Absolutely.
together.
It should be that
Yeah.
way.
But as far as Trump, he's our sitting president. He's definitely, you know, likes himself a lot. And,
Travis
you
did
know,
too. It's okay.
but, yeah, so, but I just wanted your opinion on that. Um, you did speak on Colombia, but you didn't really say, or maybe you did, correct me if I'm wrong, about Brazil. Are you worried about their involvement as much as Colombia? Can you give us a percentage?
I guess my opinion on Colombia is stronger just because of how close I
Right,
am to the
right,
border,
right.
how much and how involved I am because I cross the border frequently and I have my whole life because I've seen with my own eyes the help that they have brought us. I am not as, you know, as aware of how much Brazil has been involved. I know they are a part of the Lima pact, which is the pact that a few countries have signed to assist Venezuela and with the different rules that they came up with. So they are a part of that. But I am very aware and I have seen with my own eyes what Colombia has done for us and their involvement. I am always on the lookout for anything that their government has to say because it affects, you know, where I live mostly.
Right.
So I'm, you know, very involved with that. But that's as much as I know about Brazil and their involvement. You know, that they are a part of the Lima Pact.
Yeah, the lemur group, which I believe is the same thing. My research on it, it's not good. So, but you know, I don't. I'm always learning. I'm still learning. So,
And I have read about the assistance that they give to the Venezuelan migrants who arrive to Brazil. I know that they are given, you know, some kind of right to work in some areas and that sort of thing. And hearing stories from people who have had to fled the country and who have encountered everything in the book, you know, starting over in different countries, I know that that is major help. So I guess to me, based on what I've read, they would be on our side in a way, or at least on the people's side. I just don't know as much as, you know, the governments and their relationship, how much that has affected. But I know within the people who arrived to Brazil, they have been treated um, fairly nicely compared to other countries that we have fled to.
um, oh yeah. So actually, my husband has a question.
Of course.
Um, yeah, sorry about this. I just want to make sure I get it right. You know, when economies go bad and the crime rate rises, so does the presence of the black market and gangs. And could you speak a little on that?
Yes. Like I said again, being a border child, I see a lot of that because of a lot of things are being, you know, either passed to Colombia because it's a lot cheaper in our currency and then it costs a lot more over there. Same for the people on our side who can't buy the things that they need. They cross over, my family does, and buy them on the other side, which sometimes it's cheaper, which is insane to me because of how bad our economy has gotten and because how much our currency has evaluated. But yeah, the black market is a big thing in our city just because you can get those products and sell them for a lot more. And I know, like I have seen it, like there's a bus station in our city that's fairly big towards the center, and they sell, you know, milk or flour or basic needs in Colombian pesos. You can buy it for Colombian pesos.
Wow, okay. You mentioned milk before. What is that a thing there?
Yes. So there's this list of what I guess it's the primary necessities of the basic, you know, needs that you have. And there's a list of products of that which are price regulated in our country, which is why there is so much shortage of them. And because the lines of the supermarkets are crazy for 4 or 5 hours to just get these products. And milk, it's a part of it's a big part of those products who are a part of the shortages. It's very, very difficult to buy milk, to find it at a reasonable price if you don't have to buy it in the black market. There's actually, it is featured in the documentary I mentioned before, but you can also find a video on YouTube of two moms actually physically fighting in a supermarket for a carton of milk.
Yeah, I believe that. We'll skip that, but the documentary you mentioned, I definitely want to link. I definitely want my viewers to see, and also the organization that we could donate through. Those two links would be great to have. Yeah, I feel like there's so much more. I did want to speak with Nicholas as well, but you know, I just kind of want to give you the floor. There are a lot of people that this is going to reach. Is there anything, like, most important thing, maybe a list of 3 things that you want, people around the world, American patriots, to know, as far as disinformation that we're getting from the mainstream media? What's most important to you to get out to people, a massive people message, a main problem, whatever you feel, and go have the floor and let us all know.
Thank you.
And I appreciate this, by the way, Garia. This is a brave of you, and very just brave and very lovely of you to do this. So
thank you so much, and thank you for this incredible initiative to share your channel, share your window to the world, and allow us to really tell our story, especially in this time, but really in any time where there's a crisis going on and people don't know about it. The fact that you are sharing your voice and speaking up for us means the world, I know, to me and to all Venezuelans. So thank you.
And I hope we can do this again.
Yeah,
we check back. Okay. But yeah, anything you want to say, as much as you want to say. Yeah, like I said, just, you have the floor.
Thank you. So, well, I think my message to the world would be, as I said earlier, I'm 20. I am as old as this government is. So I don't know anything different, I would say. But I have seen my country crumble year by year. I do see the difference from my childhood to where it is now. So no, not because I didn't see the Venezuela that my parents lived through, and because I've heard all the stories. I've heard the stories of the abundance and the prosperous country that we were. I've seen the pictures and the videos, and I've heard stories from friends all over the world whose grandparents loved to vacation in our country because they had the most beautiful beaches, the most beautiful, sights they had ever seen, and
the mountains. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful, yeah.
The people that share for our country, the love that people had to just come visit us, and how they're all gone. Even our own people are leaving because the situation we cannot stand it. And so, not because I didn't see that Venezuela, I did see it change, and I did stand on a ground that was shaking, that we didn't know when it was going to stop or when it was going to change on us, because it's all out of our control. And like I said earlier when we started this interview, the youth in Venezuela has hope, has future, has a future, have plans, that so many things that they want to do and they can't because of the crisis that the country is going through. So I would say, for any person in the world who wants to give an opinion about this and hasn't lived through it, try to inform yourself as much as you can before you speak up. Because for us who have lived through it for 20 years, let me tell you, we want all the help we can get. We want anybody who cares to listen, because we can't live like this anymore. Because people are dying at all ages because of, hunger, because of diseases that they can cure, because there's no medicine, because our healthcare system can only go so far, because people who get diagnosed, like I have another story about a teacher in my school who was 47 and got diagnosed. I don't really remember what type of cancer it was, but I remember that he told us that the doctor said, this is a miraculous time to get diagnosed. We can do so much. But there was no access to chemotherapy or any other thing. He died at 48 because he couldn't be treated with a cancer that got diagnosed just in time. So the frustration of people who want a better future, who want to get out of this because we want hopes, we want to raise our own families, But how can you, have a dream of raise a family in this country when maybe your family can't even provide for you right now? So, yeah, that's my message to the world, that we are in desperate need of help. The humanitarian crisis is real. The violation of the human rights is real. Everything that you see in those videos with the violence that the government has against us is real. And we do want to change for our beautiful country, full of beautiful people. Venezuela has so many amazing things about it that I don't think people know enough. And I couldn't, say enough about our country. I am as proud as it can be to be here. I really think that being born here was a blessing. And I am so, so lucky to be where I'm from. But it's really, we're going through difficult times. We have been for so long, and I think it's enough. We've had enough, and it's about time that we get the freedom we deserve and we are able to be the country we deserve to be, because the potential that we have, let me tell you, if we do change governments as soon as we hope, there are going to be people coming in millions back to visit us, to live here, to start their businesses here, because there is so much potential in our country and in our people.
Yes. Yeah, it is a beautiful country. I did forget one thing. Mexico.
Yes.
We have to talk about that.
Mexico is a place, actually, it's very near and dear to my heart because a lot of important people in my life are from Mexico. And so I know that a lot of them were not agreeing with their president and the position that he took, backing up Maduro. I have gotten a lot of messages from Mexican friends who have told me this is not what we believe in. This is not the decision that as a country we wanted to make. And I know that the Mexican people support us, support Venezuela, and support freedom. And I do think that the decision that the president made, or the, voice that he decided to speak for, was because of different interests aside from that. But I know Mexico is with us, and they have made it loud and clear. The people of Mexico, at least.
Right. Well, yes, and definitely the people are always different than the government. We all know that. Is there anything that people can do instead of just getting the message out? Physically put words into action to help. Is there anything we can do?
Aside from the donations, like I said, getting informed is so big, because there are so many people who maybe think they know, but they don't really know. So if you think that you have armed yourself with enough information and that it's a complex subject, believe me, it's hard for me to understand it, and I'm from here. But if you feel like you have armed yourself with enough information and you understand, tell it to a coworker, tell it to somebody else that you know. Did you hear what's going on in Venezuela? Maybe send out a tweet, post about it on Facebook, social media, and the power that it has right now. It might reach someone who can really make a difference. You never know. It can change many people's lives. And I think nobody learns from other people's mistakes, I feel. But if we can be an example so this never happens again in any country in the world, then we have made a difference on this earth, to be honest.
Yeah,
and just share that with all the international friends that I have. Treasure your elections. Treasure your, right to vote. Inform yourself with any election that's going on in your country, in your state. Know your candidates. Raise your voice. Because once it's taken away from you, believe me, it's not nice. And try, the news outlet, like I said, you mentioned that it is, manipulated, and you hear what they want you to hear. But you still can speak up, and someone will listen.
Well, there's a lot of independent journalists, and just to let you know, this channel and a lot of others that I'm affiliated with want the truth.
Yes.
And they're good.
Advantage of that. Use that resource as much as possible and share it with the world. That's what makes a difference.
Information. One of my mottos is, a wise man knows he knows nothing at all. I am still learning. And Cara and Paro, we never know it all. We're never gonna know it all. But yes, to be informed is definitely this channel, and everybody that watches, they all feel the same way. So that's very important. You said that. In addition to the link, the documentary, which you said is only an hour and a half, seems like, not a lot of time at all to devote to.
I've seen it 5 times now, I think.
Yeah. Not
it's
a lot of time at all to
see how
devote
much
to
it covers
this.
in that amount of time. So it is worth the
I
watch.
would love to share that. Yeah, and it's, I mean, an hour and a half to learn about this and is nothing. So that's great. Do you have anything else to say? I can't wait to speak to Nicholas as well. It's so great to have you and your generation, but it's also, Garia, to see your hope, your positivity, your eagerness to learn, and your love for your country. I mean, that's what it's about, and it's beautiful. And I thank you,
Thank
and I hope that we can check back with each
Of
other.
course, of course. I think
Yeah,
the one last thing that I would really like to say is,
sure.
the progress that what gives me so much hope about what's going on right now is that I have in all my life and in all the different things that have happened and all the different, trial and error that we've had to try to remove this government. This is the much progress that I've ever seen in my life. And I feel it's so close. Like, I can almost taste the freedom. Like, I see it so close. That is why, I am so hopeful. Of course, for me, Venezuela will always be worth the fight. Absolutely. Anytime, any day, as much as it takes. But it feels so close right now. Like, I can almost just touch it. That is why,
Now, oh, I did want to
I'm
ask you this, Garia. I can't believe I forgot this. Now, as Juan Guaido, he's interim. Are there people running that you like or would run? Are there people talking about like
I
what?
really don't know who would run because
Okay,
I think we have a lot of great politicians. They're very, very prepared. On the other party, there are several political parties actually, but that are against Maduro. I really don't know, and it's hard to tell who would run. But if I had my call, I would love Leopoldo Lopez to run. I think he's a political prisoner right now, but he is somebody who has given, his has poured his heart and soul into fighting for freedom in this country, which is why he was silenced and why he was imprisoned. But his wife, Lilian Tintori, who speaks also she's interviewed in the documentary that I mentioned,
great.
has made it, a tireless effort to share Leopoldo's story and Venezuela's story all over the world. She's met with the Pope, she's met with, world leaders, and she's been out there, their family in general has poured their heart and souls into with the freeing of the country. So if somebody were to run, and if I get to have my pick of who is going to run this country, it would be him. Also, because I know, like I mentioned, the potential that the country has. We need somebody who's extremely prepared because they're going to encounter a country that's not only, has fallen into pieces for 21 years. They have to, bring us back up into, stabilize us first, and then, start a plan to actually reach our full potential. So we do need someone who's up for that task, and I believe he is. I am also a huge I admire of Guaido as well. I think he's making an incredible job. I think a lot of the progress that we have made with the international community, it's thanks to him and his bravery and his will to also fight for us, whatever it takes. If he were to run as well, he would have my support, but it just really, it's just ideal to actually even talk about somebody else being in power.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
just,
have to wait to
I get
see. I know.
whoever is right for the job and whoever is willing to really be honest and sincere, and it's going to be really, really hard to even get us to a stable place, but whoever is up for that task with a pure and honest heart really has my support.
Well, I'm praying for that person and for that to happen. And I know, millions of people are.
Yes,
So, yes, this has been great. Thank you. Please send me that link to the
absolutely,
documentary.
absolutely.
I will watch it. I will share it with as many people as I can. I'll hit you privately and let you know what I think. And this has been great. Thank you for your time. And
Absolutely.
thank you.
And
God
really
bless
to
you.
the people of your channel who are also, wanting to get informed and wanting to know what's going on in the country. Like you said before, knowledge is power. So the fact that, they're willing to listen is great. So my eternal gratitude to all those people who really want to hear. And another thing that I would like to add, like I said, I am 20 years old. I know a lot of your viewers are probably, way older, way more educated or whatever. And it is just my humble opinion of what I said. I spoke about politics and I spoke about a lot of things that maybe people would, believe that I am not old enough to know. Like I said, it's just my humble opinion. It's just what
Yeah.
I've seen through my eyes and my experience.
I've announced this interview, since I talked with Oriana and Nicholas, and my viewers don't think that at all. And like I said, that's why it's so great that I get to speak with you and Nicholas. We can see the generations. It's very important what you think about your school, like you said, and um, like you said, you're the future.
We
So
are,
you're
and I know that the
very
next step.
important. Your opinion is very important, and you're there. So you, I mean, you're there, and we're not. So you have a lot more knowledge than we do, and age. Yes, you're young, but that doesn't mean that you don't know. You know a lot more than me, and I'm double your age. So I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and experience with me. And I can't wait to speak with you again, and hopefully, pretty soon we'll be having a celebration of some
Oh,
sort.
amen to that. Oh my God, it really touches my heart to even think of that as a possibility.
Well, it is a possibility, and I'm praying, and I know most of my viewers, I could pretty much safely say all of my viewers are. So, yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
thank you, thank
thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
you. No, thank you.